Hi everyone, it's me, Varun Nair, back again with yet another podcast series in the Startup Show presented by Ampliz, which is where you hear startup founders share their experiences and learning in this podcast series. So, in this Web Summit edition, we have a very special guest over here. So he called all the way from Netherlands, and he's the founder of a startup called the CopyRobin, which is a service-based company, has a very specific and very unique model or a very unique, process they have been working. And Mr. Eric Van Hal is joining us for this podcasting series to just share about his Web Summit experience as well as the startup experience over the past 30 years. And now they have more than 300 plus clients onboarded right now, and they're working alongside with one of the biggest marketing firms in Netherlands. And they are just growing. They're just growing, keep on growing each and every single day. So I will directly
Thank you.
have a conversation. Hi, Eric. Thank you so much for joining this podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's really interesting. Yeah, thanks.
So as I was mentioning, like few minutes back, like about CopyRobin. So what exactly is CopyRobin, and how was your experience at the Web Summit?
So CopyRobin, I always best describe it as copywriting as a service. So we developed a platform because I saw a need as I had a digital agency for over 2 decades, and before that I was a copywriter myself.
Okay.
And building websites with a digital agency, we always run into the problem
Okay.
that the content was an issue. You know, that it basically was a bloody nightmare to get all the text for every website. And about 4 years ago, I got so fed up with building websites, and I decided to actually start CopyRobin to solve this problem that I was confronting all the time. Because there's a lot of inefficiencies in the whole copywriting process. It's a bit of a traditional trade, you know, and there are some trades that have already been disrupted by technology a lot, like finance, and then there are holiday travel, for example, and then there are industries that are ripe for disruption, like lawyering, notariates, and copywriting, in my opinion. So we are basically planning to disrupt this industry to get a lot more quality at a lot lower price because there's so much inefficiency in the process. So we've been building our website, our platform for over 3 years, and we've got quite a lot of traction in the Netherlands. Like you said, we have some really big clients already, and we're doing really nice. And so we are really eager to go outside of Holland as well, because Holland is a very small market. There are only 17 million people, and we speak Dutch, which is a small language. And so if you work in English and outside of the Netherlands, like the UK, or maybe even the United States, or maybe even later in India, who knows, those are huge markets. So we are looking for that because there's a lot to do there. So that's why I went to Web Summit.
Okay.
And it was like you said, you wanted to know about how that was. And the Web Summit is, wow, it's like more than 70,000 participants, 1,200 speakers. I didn't have time to look at any of the speakers because I was just too busy, you know, talking with people about our project and talking with with investors for fundraising, because we do need to raise some funds for our international expansion. And so I was invited or selected, they say, to pitch. So I did 2 pitches. I did what they call the pitch in capitals, which is with a jury and slides. So you have the pitch deck, and then you present to the judges and the public. And then you can go on to the next round. Unfortunately, I just had 1 round, but that was already nerve-wracking enough, I must say. But it went really well. I did a lot of preparation for it, and I think it went really well. And then I also had a startup showcase, which is a 2-minute presentation. So the first one was 3 minutes, and the second one is 2 minutes without slides, without judges, just public. That was also very nice to do. And so it was just a crazy week.
So
full of meetings.
what was your actual 2-minute pitch which you have presented in the web summit?
Well, it starts like, my name is Eric van Hal. I'm the founder of CopyRobin, well, it's difficult to do it out of my head now,
I
because
know.
it's already so long
It's
ago.
very
But
surprising.
CopyRobin, 80, and oh yes, and I'm on a mission to disrupt the copywriting industry, because it's high time this traditional trade enters the 21st century, where publishing valuable content is a must for every brand.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, today it's write or die. I started my career as a copywriter. I had a digital agency for 2 decades, and then I go on, with a story I actually already
Okay,
told you.
got it.
And then, so that's how the pitch goes. Yeah, you put me on the spot a bit there. Very good, but it came back. It came back.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
brilliant, because most of them actually fail to answer this question, surprising question, because I just give them a surprise event. That's why I particularly
Yeah.
mentioned that particular. Anyway, that was really great. So I just have a few doubts floating around about CopyRobin. So what part of the content, or how is copywriting actually is going to be the new a new white space for companies, because there are a lot of companies who is already hiring their content marketing teams, and they're already merging with the marketing team and working alongside. So how are we going to exactly target that kind of companies?
Yeah. So what's of course, copywriting is a very old trade, and very traditional, like I just explained, and everybody needs text. So the market size is incredibly big, and everybody needs ever more content, on and ever more often, because of content marketing, and because old-fashioned advertising no longer really works. People just have blind spots for ads. So you have to tell a story, and you have to be interesting, and that means content, and that can be video, that can be pictures, that can be a lot. But a lot of it is written content, and the written content is also the basis for most all other content, especially video. You very often have to write a script, for example. So it's the basic, it's the basis, it's the fundamental part of your communication, and it's very difficult to do it yourself, because it's very time consuming, and most people don't have time to write, especially if you're not very skilled at it. If you don't do it often, then you get these texts that are boring to read, that don't come across, that don't get the message across, that are not convincing, that don't convert. So it's better to hire, if you can afford it, it's better to hire a professional. And there the problem is that basically either deal with agencies that can be very professional, but also very expensive. So then it's, especially for smaller businesses, it's often prohibitive because of the cost. So then you go to big marketplaces like Upwork or Text Broker, and you look for cheaper freelancers. And that can work if you know exactly what you're doing. But for a lot of entrepreneurs and marketeers, it's really difficult to select a good freelancer, to brief the freelancer, and to judge their work. So we thought we'll make a quality control layer in between the freelancer and the client, and basically help the client with all these troubles. So they don't have to look for a freelancer. We do that. We have at the moment 163 freelancers in our database, and we just match them the right way. And then we automate a lot of the processes, also the briefing, for example. The briefing is very often, in the past, people would just do something. They would just start writing or phoning or whatever. So the freelancer would get very different structure of briefing all the time. So we put a lot of structure in there, ask some really specific questions that help a writer to really understand the question or the problem that they have to solve. And there's a lot of inefficiency because customers, just imagine you hired a freelance writer and or even an agency, and they finish the job and they send you a Word document,
Uh-huh.
in your email, but you're very busy at the moment with something else. So it comes in your inbox and you notice it, oh, it's there, okay. But you're busy. And then 2 days or 2 weeks later, you think, oh yeah, I still have this text that was I still have to check this. And then you start searching in your inbox and yeah, what was the title again? And before you know it, you spent 15 minutes just searching for it. So we solved all these problems using our platform, basically.
Great. So basically, like we spoke about the marketing agencies, like it's more like
Yeah.
partnering with most of the digital agencies. And how is the cost? I mean, bringing the subscription plans. Like I believe it's a
Yes.
subscription plan you have on. How did you
Yes.
structurize that subscription plan, and what all necessary changes you have made, or what are the tips which will help other startups to also start this kind of subscription plans? What are the things we should know about it?
Okay. Very good. So I started by I started actually on a wrong footing. The idea that I first had was that okay, it's a monthly subscription, and they can, but it's not unlimited access. Like it's not an all-you-can-eat buffet, because then it would not be possible to make a profit. So I wanted, of course, some limit on how much customers could order for
Okay.
their subscription. So I figured there are 20 office days in a month.
Uh-huh.
So if you have one track, and you have 20 credits. So I would, if somebody would, so I made it really complex.
Okay.
Basically, I don't want to bore your listeners and viewers. Anyway, in the end, about 1.5 years ago, I pivoted the whole idea, and I said, oh, let's make it really simple. There are just credits,
Okay.
and a customer has a subscription that they can cancel anytime every month. So there's no long-term commitment, and you either have a small subscription with a limited number of credits and you pay more per credit,
Okay.
or you have a big subscription with a lot more credits and you pay less per credit. And then it's really simple. So the customer, they order a text like a certain length, like 800 words, and a certain degree of difficulty, like creative. It's a number of credit that rolls out of there. And the freelancer gets the job, and he knows exactly, okay, so I'm getting 6 credits for this job. So he knows exactly what he's going to be paid, and the customer knows exactly what it's going to cost. And
Okay.
in between is our profit margin.
Okay.
And
I
and
th-
and from that we pay the whole platform.
okay. I think there is a lot of I think there are 5 subscription plans right now. So what is this credit system works as? Like what can how can we utilize this credit? What is the credit actually is?
Yeah. So, for example, if a small company starts a starter subscription, it's 230 euros per
Yeah.
month, and it includes 10 credits. And a credit is, so one credit is 23 euros. Now, if you have a text of, for example, less than 400 words, and it's not very difficult, so the briefing is very complete. The writer doesn't have to do a phone interview or doesn't have to do any research. Then it's standard degree difficulty. It costs 2 credits, so
Okay.
46 euros. And and the writer knows, okay, I get 2 credits, and they, depending on how good they are, they earn a certain amount of money per credit. But it's of course less than that we charge our clients. Our margin is in between. It's our profit margin, and uh, that's basically it. So we have on our website, we have these price tables that you can download, and you can see exactly, oh, okay,
Expenses.
1,200 words, expert degree of difficulty. Okay, it's so many credits. And if it's, for example, if you have an enterprise account, you have
Huh?
60 credits per month, and you pay less than 15 euros per credit.
Okay.
So there's a big advantage of buying more credits in bulk, buying the credits in bulk. Yeah.
Great. So what go-to-market strategy have you implemented to reach out to the audiences, or what are the next plans you're looking forward in the marketing strategy? Since you said you want to expand it from Holland to
Yes.
other part of the countries. So what are the marketing plans you have been planning right now?
So to go to other countries, well, the first thing we did is we launched in June this year. We launched our English language website, the .com website, and we went to Web Summit. So we made a lot of contacts. We actually already have customers that just came through Web Summit, and they joined us, and also freelance writers. Now, of course, in the Netherlands, I'm already fairly known as a blogger, and I have a fairly successful blog, so I could get a lot of traffic from that to my website. So I didn't have to spend any money basically on paid advertising. I don't have that luxury in other countries. So there we will probably be working with other influencers,
Okay.
and we will have to use some paid advertising. But smart paid advertising. So it will be a lot of LinkedIn and a lot of Facebook, maybe Instagram. And I actually hired, in October, I hired a CMO, so a marketing guy who is responsible for generating that growth. And he's made a plan. And a bit of it depends on if I'm successful fundraising. So Q1 next year, we will do our fundraising, and if I'm successful, then we'll definitely have budgets also to do this international growth fast. Otherwise, it'll go a bit more like we did it in Holland, bootstrapping it, and going a bit by bit. Yeah.
So currently, how many team members are working with CopyRobin?
So the team itself is just 3 people. So it's myself, the founder and the CEO, and then I have the marketing CMO, and then I have a woman who is responsible for the quality of the product. So she makes sure that all the text that we deliver to the customers are proofread, that all the customers are happy and all the freelancers are happy. So basically, we have somebody who actually has the final responsibility for the quality and for our deliverables. I'm more responsible now for fundraising and strategy and growing the business, and my CMO is responsible for making the marketing work and generating growth through marketing and sales. You know, marketing and sales are basically one and the same for us. You know, we don't really see. I think you cannot be a good marketer if you don't know about sales, and I don't think you can be a good salesperson if you don't know the story and if you don't know about the marketing of the business. So we sort of, since we're so small still, we combined it too.
Okay. So what was the best customer acquisition strategy for you in terms of CopyRobin?
So a really successful strategy that we followed the past year was that we found out that really very valuable customers for us are digital agencies, basically. So they have a lot of customers, and they build applications, and they always have the problem that I had for 2 decades, filling the websites with copy. So we went after them, and for that I had a really in the Netherlands I had the luck that I had this blog. It's called MediaWeb, and it's very successful. So we have a lot of visitors and a lot of republishing on much bigger platforms as well. So we have a big platform. So it's very attractive for experts in the digital marketing field to guest blog or to be an expert on our platform. So we reached out to a lot of SEO, marketing automation, etc. experts in the digital field, in the best agencies in the Netherlands, to contribute to our blog as experts. And that's how we started the relationship. And then we started also informing them about CopyRobin, and that CopyRobin was actually writing all those blogs, the ghostwriting for me and my team. And that's been very successful in onboarding them as customers as well. And what I also did early last year is that I thought, well, HubSpot is a very if an agency is a HubSpot partner, they have customers that need copy all the time. That was my idea. So I targeted the 82 HubSpot partners in the Netherlands through a LinkedIn campaign, not paid, but contact them, connecting with these people. and I onboarded at least 12 digital agencies that way, because I told them, hey, I'm interested in HubSpot, and so we could help each other. So I can introduce you to our customers. Hey, and we can maybe help you deliver text,
Okay.
written content to your cup. And that was a slam dunk. And that was a really good social selling
Point.
success story. Yeah.
That's actually a really very great hack you have just suggested, or I think it's very targeted. Like you segregated the audiences, and you targeted the audience which you are looking for, or they are looking forward for you, and it's
Exactly,
also
because this was time consuming.
yeah.
It's time consuming, so I targeted it really well. But we also have through our normal exposure that the website have, we just have customers onboarding themselves all the time, you know. But those are usually so the SMEs, the smaller businesses, they just onboard themselves, and that's a lot of word of mouth. So a lot of customers that we already have are not even just agencies that have only heard of us.
Uh-huh.
And then a customer asks them, "Hey, what do I do about the text?" And then they just said, "Well, I saw this CopyRobin. You know, because when customers onboard, we usually ask them, "How did you find us? How did you?" And that's also a very good source of our customers at the moment.
So main source of CopyRobin is there are like a lot of inbound marketing as well, right?
Inbound and what I do outbound is always relational. So we contact them through
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn or as an expert for our blog or something like that. So we start with giving them something. We start with starting a relationship. I think I suspect that you will do something that's similar, because you
Exactly.
also have this podcast.
Yes. In
So
turn, we are just
and
expecting your story. That's exactly that same
because
point.
what I did with the expert roundups, when I told you about the expert roundups, so now I'm on the other end, on the receiving end of the same kind of strategy, and
Yeah.
that's why I liked it. That's why I thought, hey, I'll talk to Varun, because I think he's thinking about the same way that I am thinking about how to build relationships, and
Yes.
from there see if business is possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Since as you're saying, like each episode or each podcast is keep on growing. That means I'm getting connected to that much startups, and I'm building a community around it. So this is where everyone can connect each other and build a business opportunity out of this. Okay, this is a self campaign I'm trying to do about Ampliz, or the startup show up. Sorry, but yeah, that's a true fact, because these days integration is a very key integral part of any business you take. If a startup anywhere, if you integrate or do much partnerships, you get much more very great opportunity to get more customers onboarded, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
So my next
So
question. So I think yeah. So is there anything you would like to add on?
um, well, I'm really interested to know a bit more about the, the, the great.
So as we were having the conversation, so just to add on to a question, what was the biggest startup challenge you had when you were working with CopyRobin?
Well, the biggest startup question is always to get enough revenue to give you enough runway, so enough money to give you enough runway. So that's either done by raising money and controlling your burn rate,
Yeah.
or by getting to revenue fast and then being able to basically grow from your cash flow.
Okay.
And it, in our business, it's pretty easy to grow using the cash flow. That's why we still haven't funded. We're still bootstrapped after
Yeah.
3 years, because we already have revenue, and the customers pay us the credits, and then it takes about at least 6 weeks before the job is done, and then the freelancer can send their invoice to us. So we have a good cash flow system. So if that was my biggest challenge.
challenge.
And beside that, of course, building a platform
Yeah.
the way I had it in my head was a lot of work.
Okay.
So it took a lot of money and a
A
lot
lot
of
of
effort.
iterations.
Um, yes, and then of course finding clients is you always have to be selling. You always have to be finding customers, because without customers, there's basically no business.
Yes.
So that was our biggest challenge.
Okay. So just moving on to the very next question, which is
Yes.
what would be the three advice you would like to give to the young entrepreneurs, young startup founders out there, since you have a very great background in content marketing as well as copywriting? So I pretty much believe you will have a very wonderful advices for the young entrepreneurs on
Yes.
to keep their startup sustained.
Okay. So here we go. If you want to be a startup, if you want to be an entrepreneur, and you're young, first of all, learn a trade. So maybe start with a job first, and be good at something. Be really good at something, so that you can see a market opportunity based on real personal experience. Solve a problem that you see, that you actually experience. That's how I did it. I solved a problem that I experienced for 2 decades. You don't have to take 2 decades. I was already entrepreneur in a different field, and then but basically that's advice one. Advice two is don't do it for the money. If you think you're going to be rich as an entrepreneur, realize that about 99.9% of all entrepreneurs are never going to become rich. So we are bombarded with all these images of these unicorn companies that raise billions or hundreds of millions, and that live the great lifestyle, and it's very inspiring and aspirational. But if that's what you want, don't become an entrepreneur, because you're better off buying a lottery ticket. So have a true mission, a true something that you want to change, a problem you want to solve. And if you are able to solve a problem for somebody who is willing to pay for it, you will have revenue. And from there, you can optimize and start. And then if you see there's an opportunity to actually go big and grow it, go for it. That's what I'm doing right now. And I had a third one in my mind. It's basically well, keep learning your whole life. You know, the developments are going so fast, especially in tech. So keep developing yourself, and give before you take. So be generous. And oh yes, and this was the one that this is a really important one. If you want to be an entrepreneur, don't calculate your time in money. Don't say 1 hour of my time is worth so many rupees or dollars or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the biggest mistake, because then you become a freelancer or you become an employee of your own small business. That will never scale. So for me, it was very important that certain time I thought, okay, now Varun is asking me to spend some time with him. I don't think, hey, how much money is it going to make me? Because Varun is not going to pay me anything.
Yeah.
Of course. No, I think, is this time well spent in growing CopyRobin? That's all. The only way that I take a decision about spending my time, not my private time, but my working time. Does this time bring my business further? Not how much money will I make in this 1 hour or 2 hours with my hourly rate that I have in my head for myself. If you're doing that, you will never grow big. So that's a mindset. But if you can manage to ditch that mindset and just think about, will this grow my business or not? And that decides whether you do something or you don't. And be able to say no if you think it's not going to bring you anywhere. Those were my 3 points.
That's every point which you have mentioned is really powerful, because everything is straight to the point and it's very clear. So thank you for sharing that wonderful advices. I hope everyone would like to hear this advice piece, and I'm going to highlight this advising pieces because uh, since you have a very great experience and it's all from your personal experience, so that's what is more important.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. I
So,
made all the mistakes before. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's
And
where
calculating my time in hours. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
actually realized that when you were thinking, you were actually thinking, what mistakes did I do? So that was the way
Yeah.
you have been conveying it. So it was really great. So my final question for the day is, what is your being supercharged moment for 2019? What was the biggest achievement you have acquired for this 2019? And what was the best learning out of it?
Well, for 2019, of course, the highlight was going to Web Summit. That's for sure.
Okay.
Well, basically, it's two things. It's launching our new platform in April because
Okay.
we rebuilt the whole platform
Sure.
and we started with the credits. So basically, that was our real startup moment. Before that, we were like in a minimal viable product phase, and we stretched that phase too long. But anyway, so that's done. So, and then in June, we launched our English version website, the .com version of CopyRobin. So
Okay.
that was, and then we were ready to go to Web Summit. And then Web Summit, well, it came maybe a bit too early for us. In the fundraising
Yes.
part, I could have had more preparation. So I still have a lot of work to do there, but we did get a lot of good contacts. So,
Okay.
but it was a great way to get visibility for the brand. Absolutely.
That's great. So this is Eric Van Holps, all the way from Netherlands, the CEO and founder of CopyRobin, has been sharing his wonderful startup experience of CopyRobin, and it was a very great learnings and startup experience you have given. We will be keeping in touch for the upcoming podcast series coming up. This is a Web Summit edition. There are a lot of other editions are coming. The Startup Founder Series edition, wherein you will be sharing your 6 months milestones or what was the growth strategy, how did you categorize it, how did you break it down. So all this are very valuable from your personal time. I know because this is something you are building out of passion and you're building of desire to see successful. So considering all the facts, I wish you all the best for CopyRobin in the coming years and wish you a great success for the whole team. And I will be looking forward to have this conversation again with you in the coming year.
That's interesting. Yes, in a little while we talk again and see where we got.
Sure, I will
All
be.
right. Thank you very much. Thank
Thank
you very much, and I wish you all the luck with your and a lot of success with your podcast. I think it's great that you're podcasting or vodcasting,
podcast.
and yes, podcast. I think it's great. I'm a big fan of podcasts and vodcasts myself. I listen to a lot of them. I think it's the best way to get informed besides reading or listening to books.
Thank you so much, Eric. It means a lot hearing you sharing a great experience and a small testimony for me as well. So thank you so much, Eric. It means a lot hearing you sharing a great experience and a small testimony for me as well. So thank you so much. So this is Eric. So we'll be seeing next time with yet another episode. I will leave the links of CopyRobin and information about CopyRobin website, everything in the description below. So please do check it out. You don't have to miss it. All the startup founders, keep an eye on this. We are going to have a lot of things coming up. So thank you so much for joining this podcast for today, everyone. Bye, sayonara. Take care.